Hi, I'm Steve Adams from Racing Index. With the flat turf season having got underway in Ireland last weekend and things kicking off in the UK at Doncaster this Saturday, I thought it would be good to take a look and see if there are any trainers who like to be quick out the stalls and bag a few winners in the first month of the season. For my research, I'll be using Horse Race Based System Builder to analyse the past data. Past performance isn't necessarily a good guide to the current circumstances, and with last season's COVID lockdown, we don't have any 2020 data to work with. But nevertheless, trainers will often stick with what's worked for them in the past, so those who have had their string fit and ready for the start of the season in previous years are likely to do so again. At the time when there's little recent turf form to work with, it's an angle that may pay dividends. So let me jump over to the computer and let's see how we get on. Okay, so I'm on the Horse Race Based website, which is horseracebased.com. I want to go onto the research and select System Builder. Now, first of all, I need to add a few criteria to base my system on. So I'm going to click on Add. Now I want to specify the years I want to use for the analysis. And it's only March and April that I want to look at because I'm just looking at the start of the turf season. So I want to specify the month. And there's only flat races that I want to look at on the turf. So I don't want to select all weather. So I'm going to select that one as well. If I scroll down to the bottom, click Proceed. So I can now specify flat. I'll select this year and last year. Obviously, with COVID situation last year, I think we had one flat race meeting over in Ireland before racing got shut down. So I'll include that one anyway. And then I want to specify 5 years worth of data. So I'll use 2019, 18, 17, 16 and 15. And it's only March and April that I'm looking at. So then I'll click on Go on that. So you can see it shows me the categories that I'm looking at. And what I want to do now is select Breakdown. And I want to select Trainers because I want to look at the trainers that have done well in their early season. So scroll down that and hit Proceed. Now I want the trainers that have performed well. I don't want just those that have only had one or two bets. So I'm going to specify a minimum of 100. And I want to look based on Betfair SP. So profit and loss based on Betfair SP, high to low. And then we'll apply that. It's now sorted based on that criteria. So we can see that quite a few of the trainers have had some really big profits. So Bob Millman, Jessica Harrington, Jer O'Brien, Richard Fahey and Carl Burke have all got triple figure profits for their March and April runners. So there's quite a few trainers here that I'll want to delve in deeper on. So I'll make notes of these top ones. Amira, Quinn, Easterby, Bolger, Lyons, Murta, Hannon Jr., Dalglish, Charlie Appleby. And by the time we get down to Murphy here, he's only had 107. He's got a really low strike rate, so I'll probably ignore him. Cox and Gosden have got good strike rates, so I'll include those. Again, Evans and Dascombe, quite low strike rates. Dermot Weld and O'Brien I'll include because they've got really high strike rates. And I think I'll probably leave it at there. So that will give us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 trainers to look at. So that should give us a good start. So I'll start off with Millman. If I select him and then scroll down and click on Go. So now you'll see that we've just looking at selections for Millman and it tells us what his overall profit and loss is for all of those 5 seasons. But also if I click on stats, it will break it down on a year by year basis. So you can see here that 2019-18 made a loss, 16 made a loss, small profit in 2015, but all the profit seems to have come in that 2017 year. So that'd be a worry. He's probably just had one really big winner. So if we look at the actual qualifiers, and scroll down through here. So there we have it. He had 101 winner, which paid out 880 points profit on Betfair SP. As all the profits just come on the one selection, he's probably not going to be someone that we're going to look at as being someone regularly firing in the winners early in the season. So I'll put a cross through Millman. For I now go back to overview, and we'll edit out Millman, and I'll do Jessica Harrington instead. So if I scroll down, find H for Harrington, we select her, and then we need to clear Millman off. There's Millman. Scroll down to the bottom. So now we're just looking at Jessica Harrington's. So the overall profit was 213 points. If we break that down for the year by year stats. So it's showing some qualifiers for this year and last year. Obviously with racing in Ireland started on Sunday, so presumably she had 5 qualifiers there. But 2019 wasn't great, but up until then it was okay. So I think we'll put a question mark by Jessica. Obviously worthwhile looking into a little bit more. A bit worrying that it was a loss in 2019. Next we want to look at Joseph O'Brien. We're going to edit that one out. Set to O'Brien. Again, we'll look at the stats. Now obviously his stats only go back to 2017 because he only started training then. Again, it's a bit of a mixed bag there. Obviously had one winner in only 2 races last year before racing got closed down. 2019 was good. 18 wasn't so good. We'll look at his strike rate. His strike rate's quite low. Again, we'll put a question mark by him. Certainly worth looking further before we discount him, but I wouldn't be overly enthusiastic about that one. Next on our list was Richard Fahey. Now Richard's stats were really good there. It's a nice consistent profit across the 5 years. So he's definitely worth looking further at. So put a tick by Richard. Going back to the overview, trainer. And Carl Burke was next. Again, not very good 2019, loss in 2016, so the majority of his profit came in 2017. So for now I'm going to put a cross through him. Next we've got David Amira. Clear that one out. He's over here. Certainly a nice consistent profit in the last 3 years. Small loss there in 2016. And a profit in 2015. A reasonable strike rate. So I think we'll include him on the list for now. Certainly worth investigating a little bit more. Next we've got Quinn. So losses in 2019 and 2018, not particularly big losses, but low strike rate. So I'll put a cross for him for now. We have Easterby. Again, losses the last 2 years. Nice profits before that, but the last 2 years would be a worry. Especially with 37 selections in 2019 and only 2 wins from all of those. So again, I'm going to put a cross through him. Next we've got Jer Lyons from over in Ireland. Because he's had a couple of losers so far in 2021. But prior to that, 1 winning last year from 4 bets. So it's nice to see him get off to an early good start last year. Profit in 2019, 18, 17, 16. Quite a big loss there in 15, but I like the fact that he's had profits over the previous 4 years where there's been a decent amount of racing. So I'm going to give him a tick for now. We're certainly delving deeper into his. Next we're going to have Richard Hannon Jr. Jer Lyons. So very much the mixed bag there. 2018 was profitable. 15 was profitable. Losses in 16, 17 and 19. So I'm going to put a strike through him. We also have Keith Dalglish. Clear off Richard Hannon. So not a single winner there at 2019. Decent performances in 2018, 17, 16. Although the strike rate was fairly low there. Certainly the 2019, having no winners would be a worry for me. So based on that, I'm going to put a strike through him. And we have... Next on this was Bolger. Clear off Dalglish. Again, we see with Bolger, 2019 is where all the profit was, well 2015 as well, but some big losses on other ones. Although he has had one winner so far in 2021. So let's just have a quick look at what the qualifier was there. So that was at the Coa. So he had a 16 to 1 winner. So had we looked before Sunday and included him, I'm not sure, probably would have included him anyway, but that would have been a nice winner in the bag. But going back to his stats. So 2019 was where the profits were, but it's certainly not consistent. Given that we've already missed a winner on him, I'm going to put a strike for him. Okay, we've just got a few more to look at now. So we've got Charlie Appleby. Small loss there in 2019. Profits in 18, 17 and 16. But what I do like is even though we had a loss in 2019, there's a high strike rate and there were 6 winners. So that gives us something to work on with our analysis. So I'm going to actually include Charlie Appleby in there. And we had Clive Cox. Losses in 2019 and 18 and 15, so a bit inconsistent there. So I'm going to say no on Clive Cox. We've got looking for John Gosden. Losses in the 2019 and 2018, so that would definitely be a worry. Although again the strike rate has been high, so I'm going to put a question mark by John Gosden. Obviously his selections are going to be well supported in the market, but we'll see whether we can do anything with him. Just 2 to go now. We're looking for Dermot Weld. Already made a loss so far this year, made a loss last year. There's quite a few losses there, so we'll say no on Dermot Weld. And just the last one to look at now was Aiden O'Brien. You know, obviously his selection is going to be really well supported. He's got a good strike rate, but I think the profit and loss reflects the fact that his selections are well backed in the market. There's probably not a lot to gain by analysing his result further, so I'll put a strike through him. Okay, so that gives us 1, 2, 3, 4 that we put ticks by. So we had Richard Fahey, David Amira, Jer Lyons, and Charlie Appleby. There was a few that we were also looking at tentatively, which was Jessica Harrington, Joseph O'Brien, and John Gosden. So those ones I'll now analyse in a little bit more depth. I'll start looking in more detail at Richard Fahey. So let's select him again. And with the systems builder on Horse Race Base, you can do a breakdown of performance for various different categories. If I click on breakdown, you see that they're divided up into race data, horse data, jockey data, trainer, stallion, dam, previous races and previous wins. And you can specify up to 10 categories by ticking the appropriate boxes. I'm going to select UK or Ireland. Let's go for race distance, number of runners. I also have handicap or non-handicap type races. Race class. Now you can either include Irish races or you can just have race class for UK races if you prefer. So I'll do a few of their race data. Go down to the horse data. Select headgear, sex of the horse, horse's age. I also like to include Betfair starting price. So that's 9, and I'd like to include days since the horse last ran. So that's my 10 categories. Click. So Horse Race Base breaks the different categories down into the various criteria. So we see here UK Ireland. He's had 18 runners over in Ireland and none of them have won, so that would certainly be an area we could eliminate. Race distance. So here in the middle, we're losing area a bit there around the 1 mile. But other than that, losses on the anything over 1 mile 4. So again, we might want to eliminate those. We now look at the number of runners. So that's the number of horses in the actual race. There's losing bits here for 13, 14 and 15 runners, but we see that 16 runners is profitable. So we've got 33 there. Those two together are going to be more than 33. That's 43. So we could quite easily just eliminate anything above 12 runners. So that would certainly be something worth looking at. Now this one looks really significant. Anything on class 1 and class 2, we've got there nearly minus 64 points. And class 3, 4, 5 look good. Class 6 making a slight loss. But again, the strike rate on class 6 is quite high, so that might be worth keeping in there, but leaving out the class 1 and class 2. Non-handicap and handicap doesn't seem to make any difference. Nor does the sex of the horse. Headgear seems to have it play a little bit different. That could be another factor. The horse age. 6-year-olds are making a loss there, but 7 and 8. I'm very wary of sort of like saying we will include 5-year-olds, we won't include 6, we will include 7 and we will include 8. One thing you really have to watch out for when building these systems is you don't backfit your criteria to the data that's there, especially when we're dealing with really small sample sizes like this. And so with the Betfair starting price, there's been a couple of big price ones, so it doesn't seem, they seem to be able to throw them in at bigger prices. Those over Betfair odds of 40 minus 15 points, but again, we're only talking about 15 selections, so it's not a big sample size. So I'd be reluctant to throw out the bigger ones because we might miss out on a big winner. And the days since last run, anything over 240 days seems to be a negative there, and anything less than 11 days. So the most easy one there to eliminate first is going to be the UK or Irish. So we can eliminate the Irish ones because until we see any signs of him winning over in Ireland, then I think that would be worthwhile excluding those. So we'll click on the close in button and then we can just select UK. So we know that's not going to have a detrimental effect on any of the previous years. At this point I find it's good to either take a screenshot or print out that page or just jot the figures down on a piece of paper so you can see your profit and loss at this point before you add any extra criteria to your system. Okay, so I'll just jot those down. And now we can break it down further. One thing I do find frustrating about horse race space is it doesn't remember what criteria you had there, which would be really handy. But we've already done UK and Ireland, so I won't put that one on there again. So I have the race distance. We had number of runners, handicap, race class. We had the headgear, sex of the horse, horse age, Betfair SP. We had days since last run. And because we've got an extra space available now, I'm going to put the last runner placing as well. So that's where the horse finished on its previous run. So the category that we looked most promising was the class. You can see, even with the Irish ones taken out, that we're still looking at 51 points additional profit by taking out the class 1 and class 2. So I think that's going to be a significant bit to do. So we select class 3, 4, 5. And I think I'm going to exclude class 6 because it's low quality racing. It can be a bit unpredictable and it's not particularly a class of racing I like to bet in. So I'm going to exclude class 6 as it's making a loss. We click on OK. And if we now look at compare the stats. 2019 previously we had 21 points, so that's doubled up to 42. 2018 we had 31, so that's actually lost a couple of points. 2017 we had 18 points before, that's pretty much stayed the same. 2016 we had 13 points before, or nearly 14 points before, so that's gone up 33 points. And 2015 we had 72 points before, so that's gone up a couple of points. So apart from losing a couple of points there on 2018, the increase has gone pretty much across the board. And particularly good is 2019, which is the most recent year, where it's actually doubled from 21 points profit to 42 points profit. So it would have made a significant difference that year. Okay, let's look at some of the other angles again, just now that we've taken those ones out, see if any more profits can be had. So we'll do the breakdown. We've done UK and Ireland. We'll keep the race distance and the number of runners. Handicap and non-handicap didn't show any signs of making any difference, so I'll leave that one out. Put the headgear on there. Again, sex of horse didn't seem to make any difference. We'll put horse age on there. Betfair SP, and then the 2 for last days since run and last run placing. What I'll also do is I'm going to put the jockey in there just to see if there's any specific jockey that performs best for him. Let's analyse the distance again. You can see that by eliminating the class, we now don't see any significant difference there on the distance. And likewise with the number of runners, it's much more profitable in the higher numbers to not worry about eliminating them because of the middle ones here. Headgear, we could eliminate those wearing a visor, but it's such a small sample, I'd be reluctant to do so. And the horse age, nothing significant there. And the Betfair SP, by eliminating the different class ones, we got rid of the higher odds ones that were there before. No significance between the jockeys. Paul Hannigan riding the majority of them, showing a good profit. And Tony Hamilton showing a similar strike rate. Jack Garrity's strike rate's not so high, but he's still in profit, so we'll leave them. Now the only other one that you could take out here is any runners more than 240 days. Again, I don't particularly like backing horses that haven't been on the racetrack for such a long period of time. Putting the limit on 240 days there could be worthwhile. And just those that have finished 12th and above have made an 8-point loss, but again, there's only 8 selections there, so it's not significant. So I'm going to have a look at this last run of days. I'm going to specify between 6 and 240. And again, we pull the stats up. So the profit and loss on 2019 was up to 42. Now that's dropped back down to 33. 2018 was 29. It's up to 38. So that's increased by 9. 2017 was 18. That's down to 7. So we've made a 11 loss there. 2016 was 46. That's up to 56. That's a 10-point gain. And 2015 was 74, and it's down to 65. So applying that filter has made 3 out of the 5 years worse. So I'd like to see a consistent improvement across all the 5 years. So I think I'm going to exclude that one. I'll just go on to the overview and then we'll remove that one again by clicking the across. And yes, we'll remove that. So that's pretty much it for Richard Fahey at the moment. I might try and fine tune that one a little bit more after the video, but I think that's pretty much a worthwhile system there. So we'll go back to see the stats there. Nice even profits across the 5 years. I think that one's going to be worthwhile testing out and see how it performs in live racing this year. Once you've settled on your system criteria, you can save them within Horse Race Base. Enter a name for your system. So I'll put Farhey early season. And you can enter any notes you want, and then it allocates it a slot number. And on the plan that I've got, I get 100 slots that I can save systems under. So I'll save that one. I'll go back to the overview. I'm going to clear out the class and the Irish exclusion. And then I'll go under there. And now we'll have a look at David Amira. We'll clear Fahey. And I'll use the same initial categories to break down the analysis. So UK and Ireland, number of runners, handicap, race distance, race class, headgear, horse sex, horse age, odds, and days since last run. Again, he's had no winners in Ireland, but it's only 2, so we could easily put the same criteria in there if we want to. Race distance, some negative there in the middle, 1 mile 4 and above there's negative. Possibly we might want to exclude those longer races. Number of runners, now this looks quite significant, anything less than 9 runners. So we've got minus 15 there, minus nearly 20, 30, 45. We could gain 45 points there by excluding those ones. We're okay on the higher ones. And again, if we exclude the Class 1 races, we get 16.5 points profit there. No significance between handicap and non-handicap races. Nothing greatly significant about the sex of the horse. But headgear there looks quite significant. Anything with headgear is showing minus 23, possibly 24 points profit. The horse age, older horses, no winners from 13 bets there for 9-year-olds. And there's been no winners above a Betfair SP of 20-1. So we might want to restrict our bets to a Betfair SP of less than 20. You can't actually specify a Betfair SP below 20. You can specify a minimum Betfair SP when backing, but not a maximum. So you'd need to monitor the price very close to the off if you wanted to do that one. And no real significance there for days since the last run. So I think I'll go back to the Class 1 again here first of all. Class 1 made a 16 points advantage. We'll add that one in. So we have Class 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Let's break down the stats. 2019 was 27 points before, it's now up to 30. 2018 was 15, it's now 18. 2017 was 18 before, it's now 21. 2016 was minus 3 before, it's now plus 1. And 2015 was 19 before, and it's 21. So all 5 years have improved there. So I like that one as a filter. Let's add them all back in again. So we know what happened with UK and Ireland. So we'll leave that off there from now. Number of runners. Handicap, non-handicap wasn't significant. Put race distance. Class we've just included. So headgear. Sex wasn't significant. Put the age now, I can't remember what that was like. Betfair SP. And then day since last run. And we'll put the last run placing on there like we did for Richard Fahey. And we'll add the jockey in there as well. So slightly confusing there. Don't seem to remember these other distances being there before. Maybe it's my mind going. but anything 1 mile 4 and above does look like it could be worth excluding. The number of runners still looks quite significant. Anything less than 9 runners, that's looking like a quite profitable filter to include. Definitely there with the headgear. So the age was significant, less than 9-year-old. And the Betfair SP below 20. And on the jockey front, we've got Daniel Tudhope is the main rider. He's produced most of the profits. Then we've got Nolan profitable and James showing a loss of 14 points, so we might want to exclude his ones. He's got a lot lower strike rate than the other two. Nothing on the days since run, and nothing significant about the positioning on the last run. So this time I'm going to include the number of runners. So we were minimum of 9 runners, maximum 22. Let's see how the stats bear up there. 2019 we were on 30 points profit, that's 37 now. 2018 was on 18 before, it's now 21. 2017 was 21 before, now it's leapt up to 37. 2016 was just over 1 point before, that's now 15 points, that's a good increase. And 2015 was 21 before, it's made 21. Increasing in 4 of the years and stayed the same in 2015, which is the longest to go of them all, so that's pretty good that it's consistent across all the years. A filter I'm quite happy to include. Let's have a look at our overview view. We've got 9 to 22 runners and we've got classes 2 to 6. Let's add the criteria back in again. So we had the race distance, horse age, the headgear, Betfair SP, and the jockey. The race distance is much less significant now. The headgear, still profitable to exclude the hood and the visor. Cheap pieces, got the 1 winner out of 14. It's still all quite a lot lower on the strike rate than those that aren't wearing any headgear at all. And the horse age, I just see no point including the 9-year-olds. They've all lost so far, so until we see a 9-year-old win, I'd be happy to exclude those. So we're going to go for 2 to 8-year-olds. We know that's going to have no detrimental effect on any of the years because there aren't any winners of age 9. We'll see what effect that's now had on the headgear. And I will include the horse sex. We didn't include that last time, so I'll just see what effect that's had since then. That is actually fairly significant there. The fillies and mares are actually showing a loss. So we could quite easily exclude the fillies and mares. Again, we're on a low sample size, but we'll see how that affects it across all the different years. And again, with the headgear, I think I'd be inclined to just have those that aren't wearing any headgear at all. Cheap pieces is now actually showing slight profit, but the strike rate's very low. So I think I'll select here, no headgear. Let's see how our stats are doing now. So 2019 we're now on 47 points, so again that's increased. 2018 was 29 points, that was up from 21 before. 2017 we're on 36 points, that's slightly down because we were as high as 40 point profit for that year. 2016 22 points, that was up, we were on 15 for that, and 2015 22 points, so that's down, but because of the strike rate with horses wearing headgear, I'm still quite inclined to include that as a filter. And let's finally just have a look at the horse sex stats again. And again, the fillies and mares are both showing losses there. So I think I'll be inclined to just include the male horses. You can either specify it here, or if we go down to breakdown, you can just specify it sex male or female. So rather than having all the individual types of male and types of female horse. So we'll just go for select male there. So you see the female includes the fillies and the mares. Now what I normally do at this point is to go through and take each category back out again and then retest them to make sure they're still valid now that we've added the extra filters in. I won't do that on this video because it's quite time consuming to go back round it again. But again, as I said with the Richard Fahey system, I'll try and fine tune this one after the video. So again, I'll save the details. This one we'll have Amira early season. Within your horse race based settings, you can specify to receive an email each evening with all your qualifiers. So that's one of the great things about it. Then once you've come up with your systems, it automatically checks them for you each day and it will send you the email through. So I shall be setting those up and monitoring them from now to the end of April. And if you're interested in following along, I'll put them up as a daily video just to show you the qualifiers each day. So if you want to follow those, make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you get notified when I upload any. Next up we have Jer Lyons, who's a trainer over in Ireland. Let's do the breakdown. We'll put the same categories in. So I don't need to put UK Ireland in there as he only has runners in Ireland. Race class, race distance, number of runners, handicap, headgear, Betfair odds, sex of horse, horse age, and I can put 2 down here on the days since last run, and I can put last run placing as well. Okay, so race distance. Could forget about the 5 furlong ones. He's had 0 from 15 there, so that looks interesting. Number of runners. Not a lot to choose from there. Race class. 1 to 5. They all look profitable, apart from class 4, but I'm not going to take class 4 out and leave class 5 in there. Not a lot to choose from. Handicap, non-handicap. Sex of horse, very little we can seem to take out here. Horse age 2 to 4, above 4-year-old looks a bit of a negative there. Betfair SP, possibly some of the higher ones. And days since last run, this looks quite interesting because if you add up these, we had about 60 something points profit, I think it was. But if you add these up for the profit for the different categories there, no way do they add up to anywhere above 60 points. And I think the reason that's going to be is because it's not going to be including any races where the horse hasn't run before. So that's going to be interesting. I'm going to have a look at that in a second. Let's just carry on down though. Okay, so let me just go back to breakdown. And if I go down to career runs, I suspect he's quite profitable for first time out horses. If we look at no previous runs, yeah, 61 points. And let's just delve down into those and see what we come up with that. We were looking at profits around about 60 points. Most of the profits come on horses that have never run before. So we look at the stats on there. It's fairly consistent across all the last 5 years, apart from 2015 with a slight loss. And what I'm going to do then, because we're looking at first time out horses, the March, April and the flat race code might not be so significant. So I'm going to just clear these 2 away. So now we've got Jer Lyons horses that have never run before, and we're not restricting it to flat rather than all weather, and we're not restricting it by month. So let's now see if either of those categories are worth actually including. So go back to race code. So the flat's 197 points profit, and all weather's making a loss of 10 points. So we'll keep it just as the flat. So that's just turf racing rather than all weather. And now let's look back at the months again. So if we go back to breakdown, date month. Apart from June in the middle, whenever his horses seem to run first time, they're profitable no matter what the month is. We're going away from the March-April system at the moment, but maybe we're hitting on another profitable angle, which quite often when you're doing this sort of research, you can start with one idea in mind and then you can branch out into something completely different, which we look like we could be doing here. So let's look at the stats. So obviously now we're looking at the whole of the year. 2020 comes into play as well. And it's a little bit disappointing that what looked like it could be a profitable angle hasn't actually made a profit in 2020. Obviously with the COVID situation, it could just be there's a slight anomaly there. It could have affected his training plans. Could be any number of reasons why 2020 is different from previous years. So what I'll do now is go back to breaking down the categories as I set them out in the first place. So again, we'll leave out UK and Ireland. We'll look at race distance, number of runners, handicap, race class, headgear, Betfair odds, sex of horse, horse age. Now there's no point me going and looking at the last runner data because clearly by definition it's their first run, so there's no previous runs to go. So I'm going to add an extra couple of criteria in. So I think I'll add in, as we go in, and let's have a look at race type as well. So race distance, excluding the 5 furlong races, certainly looks to be worthwhile doing. Possibly all those above 1 mile and 2 furlongs as well. Going doesn't seem to have any effect. Number of runners, very marginal there, so I think I'd leave that one alone. Race class, we could exclude the class 6 races. Nothing on race type. No, they're all on non-handicap races, which is understandable as it's their first race. I should have really thought about that one beforehand. Horse sex, not a lot to choose between there. Headgear, not significant. Well, none of them are wearing headgear, which again, understandable. None of them are wearing headgear. It's their first race, so you wouldn't really want to be putting headgear onto a horse on its first run. Horse age, 2 and 3 year olds. I guess that's reasonable as it's their first time out. Anything Betfair above 50, 5 runners have gone off above 50 Betfair SP. So again, I'd be inclined to leave that one. So the first one seemed to be the most significant, which was the race distance. 25 points saved by excluding the 5 furlong sprints, and he does seem to have a very poor record in the 5 furlong sprints, only 3.7% strike rate. I'd be quite happy to exclude that one. That seems to have only thrown up a few of the categories. What I'm going to do is put it back in as a criteria, race distance. That's a bit more like it. So yeah, so we would have been excluding 5.5 furlongs by clicking on that one. So I'm going to include 5.5, and I think I will exclude the ones above 1 mile 2 furlongs as well. Let's have a look at that. That has reduced the losses from 2020. It's looking quite consistent over the rest of the years. Now, none of the other criteria really stood out, so I think we're quite low on the number of runners each year. So I don't think I'm going to do anything more with that system. I think I'll just save that one as it is, and I'll move on to the last one on our list, which is Charlie Appleby. So let's put in the breakdown. There we go. Race distance, number of runners, handicap, headgear, Betfair SP, sex of horse, age of horse, and day since last run. Okay. So he just runs his horses in the UK. Maybe a slight angle there on the distance, but again, only a very small sample, and he has got quite a good strike rate there. So nothing there on the number of runners. The class. Not really a lot of angles here. Oh, here we go. No cheek pieces. So that could certainly be an angle on the headgear. Days since a run. Again, we don't seem to have so much data there. So I suspect some of his first time out ones have won as well. We've got quite a bit of profit there, so it's not going to be a big angle like we found with Jer's selections. I think the most significant one I can see there is ignoring the headgear. Where was that one? Headgear. So if we take out the cheek pieces, we just say no headgear. See what that does to our stats. So previously we had a 1 point loss on 2019. That's actually increased to -7 now. We had 16 point profit on 2018. That's 20 points. That's gone up. 2 points on 2017 has gone up to 9. 2016 was 41. That stayed the same. In 2015 we were on -2. And it's now 7. Improvement on 4 of the 5 years, but most significantly 2019 we made things worse, which is disappointing. So it only relieves us 3 winners from 2019, so I think I might tend to take that one back out again. Let's just check our stats again. Yeah, so we've halved the number of winners from 6 down to 3 by excluding the cheek pieces. So I think we're better off leaving that one out. To be honest, because of the loss in 2019 and the overall only 56 points profit for over 5 years, I'm not going to take this system any further. We'll take a look now at the ones that we put a question mark by earlier. So we had Jessica Harrington. So let's clear that one. So we've got an overall profit of 213, of which 134 points came in 2018. And we haven't had any profits in 2019. Obviously there wasn't many selections last year. So if we just look under the qualifiers, I wouldn't be surprised if we see a fairly big price winner. Yeah, there we go, 50 to 1. Return a Betfair SP of 160. With that being the case, I don't think it's going to be worthwhile pursuing that one as a system. The next one we had as a question mark was Joseph O'Brien. Switch it to him. And look at the stats for Joseph. Again, it all seems to be the big profit in 2019, so I think we're going to see something similar there. So again, we'll look under the qualifiers. Well, there we have it straight away. 33 to 1. We've turned it a Betfair SP of 180, so that's again all the profits there really. So 180 on that one, 155 in total. So if you excluded that one, you'd be making a 25-point loss. So there's not really any point going any further on that one. And the last one we had was John Gosden. And with John, again we've seen losses on the last 2 years. Let's just have a quick look at the qualifiers. No particularly large ones that we see there. But the fact that it's made a loss in 2018 and 2019 and there's only a 33-point profit overall, I really don't think there's going to be worth us diving in deeper into that one. So there we have it. Not quite as good as I was hoping for. We've got 3 systems there that we can look at. The horse racing on the flat kicks off at the weekend in the UK. So I'm going to be using Horse Race Space to email me the selections for those. So for the end of March and throughout April, I'll create a little video each day putting those selections up there. So if you want to follow along with them, subscribe to the channel and ding the bell to get notified. So where possible, I'll put them up the night before, because although the email doesn't come through till midnight, you can actually go into the Horse Race Space system and look at the following day's qualifiers, so you don't have to wait till the email comes through. Where possible, I'll put them up the night before. If not, they'll be up there early to mid-morning the following day. I'll be looking at creating other systems using Horse Race Space in the future, so make sure you keep a lookout for more videos on that.